I can't just talk about myself. I'm only part of the amazing Madrigals.
A lot goes into making an animated film, but usually it isn't all done from home. We're going to take you behind the scenes of Encanto to see just how the amazing Madrigal world was created, comparing early shots to their finished product. Let's go talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
The best work trip ever. The crew actually traveled to Colombia for their research. They took inspiration from multiple locations, but specifically the Cocora Valley, one of the most beautiful places that Bruno actor John Leguizamo has ever been to. And naturally, it became the inspiration for the home of the amazing Madrigals.
We knew this is where the home of the Madrigal should be.
We mean this quite literally. A lot of layers go into bringing a scene to life. Here's just a few of the fun ones, like this one with the block people. Did you realize they were making an M? One animator who designed the block shot was working from home. So, he also found himself using his bed sheets as a reference for the skirt motions. And we're not sure why some of these children have white eyebrows, but the blocky movement reminds us of when a video game character freezes, and they just slide across the screen motionless. And the crowds are just as quirky in their early stages. They're just a little bit creepy to watch this way too, if you ask us.
Probably the most visually complex movie we've ever made.
The best animators are the best observers. Very early on, the discussion about what this story had to be was centered around family. This movie, it's about family and your role within your family.
The fate of the family, it's not up to her. It's up to you.
The sister that carries the world on her shoulders, the outcasted uncle. We can all relate to the Madrigals in some way. And part of this is because the writers really drew from experiences with their own families to get the movements just right. When you see the details in Abuela, know that the animator was studying his mom. When family was on the table, they landed on Colombia as the perfect place for their story because Colombia is an intersecting country of Latinx people.
We did everything there. We went to lots of cities and lots of towns in the more rural areas.
We're actually going to take a look at all the dance sequences we could find. Were you wondering how they got that incredible skirt work happening? Imagine how hard it would have been for the animators to block this scene if they didn't have a reference. We really shouldn't talk about this. The choreographer Jamal specifically asked for there to be Latinx dancers, as many Colombian and Latinx people that can accurately represent the movement. It's actually pretty incredible to watch how the choreography was incorporated into the final scenes. Part of it didn't end up being used at all, so it's a special look at what could have been and how picky and choosy you need to be with the shots in order to get the story across. Jamal Sims and Kai and the skeleton dancers really brought the song We Don't Talk About Bruno to life. The actors would do the whole dance in one take. It would be filmed twice, once in skirts and once in pants, so they could get the flow of the skirts, but also so they could get hip movement and not have it be obscured. All you had to do was just let it take you. See if you can spot any of the characters based on the dancer's moves alone. You can really see the light-footedness of the dancer portraying Dolores in the scene.
And there's so many people that are going to be influenced by this film, not just by the story you're telling, but by the inclusion of the diversity within it.
An unlikely group of people sharing something in common. Did you know that animators and dancers share a similar language?
And that language is nonsense.
They would speak via the sound of the rhythm, but not necessarily putting the technical words to it.
Bam, bam.
Communication among different mediums finds a way. We guess it makes sense they communicate in a similar way. They both work with bodies after all, just in different contexts.
Musical theater has this incredible tradition of telling story through song.
You can do a lot, apparently. You can really feel the larger-than-life characters and the joy just flowing out of the dancers in this piece. Cartoons often do things like defy the laws of gravity, so we were a bit surprised to see just how well they captured the character performance.
Just an incredible feeling, incredible sense of accomplishment.
Whoever's idea it was to hire Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius. The music legend, most notably known for the Broadway musical Hamilton before this, was brought on board to write the music for the movie. He was one of the crew who traveled to Colombia to immerse himself in the culture and get acquainted with the very specific sound of the music. It isn't common for a Disney movie to be written in 3/4 time, Miranda said. But this movie was an exception, given that time signature is incredibly important to Colombian rhythm. Working on a song with 12 very original and different actors, it inspired Miranda to find the pulse of each character and connect them with different kinds of Colombian music. Miranda also recorded himself singing every character's part for We Don't Talk About Bruno, and probably all of the other music too. He finds it the easiest way to get his intention across. Here's hoping Disney one day releases a full album. That would be amazing.
I just said, for the next one, can I just please be there from the beginning? I want to be as involved as I can be.
This is probably the biggest project ever done from home. All of the acting and all of the coaching actually happened over Zoom. And the actors worked out of their own home studios. Stephanie Beatrice, who plays Mirabel, admitted that she didn't find the process all that strange, because voice acting is usually pretty isolated anyways.
I'm part of the amazing Madrigal.
She's actually found herself closer to the director because he was right there on Zoom, rather than behind a glass panel. Lin-Manuel was a huge cheerleader for the actors. He's also incredibly patient, which is good for nervous singers. It was actually Adassa's idea to make Dolores sing her lines an octave lower, just above a whisper in the song We Don't Talk About Bruno. That's just one element that all of that character development brought to the table: personalization.
I just felt like a tiger, like I seized the moment.
Imagine how much has to be in place before the animators can even start. It's always so cool to look back at the concept art because it ranges so wildly in character design and costume. You can see how the early art informs the final choices, but also why some things were cut. Like Mirabel was designed to be wearing heels at one point. Just imagine how much that would affect her movement in the movie. Taking out those high heels also would have knocked her down a peg, as high heels can present as very confident, something that she's not from the start.
Hopefully bring my best to Mirabel.
Casa Madrigal, Casita for short. The one limitation the crew were working with, designing the gorgeous Madrigal home, was that they wanted the house to be alive, but they didn't want it to bend to the elements in order to move. That choice really made this living house distinct from other living houses. And yes, there are more. Remember a movie called Monster House? That's just the first to come to mind. The house expresses most of its personality through its tile flipping and window panes. They went through a lot of concept art to get the house just right, which is fair. It's as much a character as the rest of the family.
The whole movie could essentially take place in this house, but it was limitless of what it could be.
We're about to start nitpicking, in a good way. Did you see how every single stitch in Mirabel's capybara patch is so detailed? It's absolutely incredible how far animation has come even in the past decade. Colombian folklore and personality hints were included in every one of their outfits. Even Mirabel's shoes are intricately detailed. But did you notice the outfits were all color-coded based on which part of the family tree you are? That was the idea of the costume designer, in order to help the audience keep the confusing family tree straight. So, there's a lot to be impressed about, and a lot to laugh at. What is so mind-blowing about Encanto is that the first time a lot of the cast and crew ever met each other in person was actually at the premiere of the movie. Do you think the premiere was awkward for the cast who'd only ever worked on Zoom, or do you think they were having a party? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.